Duke's got a big one tonight. Kansas in Las Vegas. What a showdown this is set to be. And many people believe Duke's got a really good chance of winning this game. Let's tell you why on today's show.
You are Locked On Blue Devils, your daily podcast on the Duke Blue Devils. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everybody, and welcome on into another episode of the Locked On Blue Devils podcast. My name is JJ Jackson. Excited to have you here with us today on Tuesday, November 26th, 2024. It's game day. Duke basketball set to take on Kansas in Las Vegas. What a marquee matchup we've got today to preview with our very good friend Jordan Mann of the Big J and Little J Show to break it all down, tell you what matters, our big takeaways from the Arizona win for Duke and how it can carry over into tonight's action. If you have not done so already, please be sure to follow and subscribe to Locked On Blue Devils for free, wherever it is that you get your podcasts. Leave us a 5-star rating and written review. Watch us each and every day on YouTube as well. Like this video, share it with your friends, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Talked about it a little bit yesterday, but our friends over at FanDuel have Duke favored to win this one tonight by 2.5 points. Ken Palm gives Duke a 64% chance of winning this game. It is ESPN Basketball's Power and Index and Analytics that give Duke a 70% chance to win tonight's game against Kansas. Duke is playing really good basketball right now, and Kansas has been tested in their last few outings. The defensive intensity from Duke, I think, will be the big difference in this one. So let's break it all down and bring in our good friend Jordan Mann, who's here with us on the program today. And we thought that, hey, we'd have a little break. We had the Kentucky game. You get a bit of a breather with Wofford at home before you ramp things back up for Arizona. Duke hasn't even flown back across the country yet. They've stayed out on the West Coast, Jordan, and here we are, another big game, back-to-back major tests here for Duke.
Yeah, exactly what John Shire wanted, and they coming off that big win against Arizona, double-digit, tough win, tough, gritty win. My favorite type of win in November, JJ. Really going to see what your team is made of, and now we go to a neutral site in Vegas. I'm jealous of every Duke fan that's going to be in Vegas, not only for the Duke and Kansas game, but also Vegas in general.
Without a doubt. I mean, it's a great place to spend the Thanksgiving week and your holidays and all the games that are going to be taking place between Maui and the battle for Atlantis. There's the NIL tournament that's being played in Las Vegas this week. But tonight, it's just Duke and Kansas from T-Mobile Arena. It's going to be a really fun contest to watch in this one. We talk about that Arizona game, and 55 points were scored by the Wildcats. Their fewest had been 88. Everything else was pretty much over 100. And all of a sudden, the Duke defense really, really locked them down. I thought cleaning up the glass and just simply rebounding the basketball had a lot to do with why Duke was so successful defensively. What did you see from the defensive end?
Yeah, you said it best right there, JJ. Arizona was leading the country in offense rebounds per game with like 21, and Duke held them, I don't know, with like 5 or 6. Like it was something very minimal, and sure, a couple of those were in the second half, and you saw that's how Arizona got back in the game. I think Caleb Love shot an air ball or something like that, and they saved it, went back to Caleb Love. He hit a 3, something like that, to where that's what happens against an Arizona team that's dominant on the glass, but Duke eliminated that threat throughout the game. That's why they won. Like, it wasn't the cleanest win, but like I just said, I don't care about clean. I want to see Duke have a mediocre night, but then just the tenacious defense and the intensity is what made Duke win this game. And I said that was one of my keys of the game because Duke gave up 12 offensive rebounds to Wofford the game before. Wofford had 17 total defense rebounds, had 12 offensive. Duke knew that had to change against Arizona if you want to win the game, and it was a team effort. Guards had 4 or 5 rebounds each. Like all 5 guys on the court swarmed to the glass, and it showed.
When all of your starters have at least 4 rebounds, and it's Maliq, or has at least 4 rebounds, and it's Maliq who comes in with just 3 on his own. I mean, that really shows you the effort that Duke had, and it almost feels like Arizona might have been thinking too highly of Common Maliq, and rightfully so, but they forgot, hey, there are 4 other players out there. He's getting 2 or 3 bodies each time, and then someone was left unguarded or an open run to the rim to be able to grab those boards.
Yeah, I'll give you the other guy, Maliq Brown. I mean, when Maliq Brown checked in on the 5, how many times do we see Arizona throw a post feed and then right away Maliq Brown just swatted it out of the post guy's hands, whether it was a steal or just the post guy had to now get out of his position, stand up, go get the ball, and then reset. Like, those little things matter in terms of winning defensive possessions, and Maliq Brown is phenomenal defensively. And talk about offensive rebounds, I think he has 15 offensive rebounds this year to 16 defensive rebounds. Like, that guy just impacts winning. I've said that on this show so many times, and I'll say it a million more. Maliq Brown impacts winning, and that's why you saw Duke win against Arizona.
Without scoring the basketball. I mean, Maliq Brown is going to score 2 points a game. He got 2 in this one. He's had a couple of dunks throughout the season, but he's not really looking for a shot too often. Maybe that's an area where Duke can try to find him a little bit more on the offensive end of the floor, but he's been so focused on offensive rebounding, setting screens, being available, helping with a little bit of the floor spacing, just letting there be open driving lanes. There's so many things beyond the box score. This is a guy who scored 26 on Duke in Cameron last year at Syracuse, and yet just watching these first 5 games, Jordan, in some ways it feels like it wouldn't happen that you would see this guy go out and score 20-plus in a game like that, and he's still able to impact winning.
Yeah, and I said it earlier this year, and I stand by it, is for fair or not fair, Duke's going to always – or Maliq Brown and Mark Mitchell be compared because they're very similar in what they bring. They're a 4/5 that can't really shoot, and but the difference is Maliq Brown makes up for that by being a really good facilitator, by having a better motor. And what I mean by that is, look against Arizona, and it's going to be in my film breakdown. Duke goes 5 out. They throw it to Maliq Brown at the top of the key. And then Duke does the guard-to-guard exchange. How many times do we see Duke slip, and then it's a pocket dime bounce pass by Maliq Brown? His guy is sagging off because he knows he's not going to shoot it. But Maliq Brown doesn't care because his vision's so good to where he's going to hit a Sion James slipping, and Sion James had that beautiful dunk over 2 guys slipping to the rim. Maliq Brown's facilitating as a guy that cannot shoot is phenomenal because his guy's going to sag off of him, but it doesn't matter. He's still going to make defenses pay by his ability to pass the ball.
And yet, in the offseason clips that we saw from Coach Shire, he's encouraging Maliq Brown to take more of those shots. I don't know how much of a factor that'll actually be in the year, but it's clear that the staff wants to see him get after it a little bit more on the offensive end of the floor. So it's a tough test now. It's Kansas. I think this is a game where you look at the experience of the Kansas Jayhawks. The same can be said for this Duke team, that those experienced guys, along with the star freshmen in Malawach, Knipple, and Flagg, probably going to be the ones that kind of set the tone in how this game is played out. Let's talk a little bit more about that after we take our first time out here on today's episode of Locked On Blue Devils. Locked On Blue Devils here today is brought to you by our friends over at FanDuel. That's right. FanDuel is America's #1 sports book, and they want you to be able to tackle all of the NFL action coming up this Thanksgiving week. Again, right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL and a proud sponsor of Locked On Blue Devils. Okay, so Duke now has Kansas on the schedule tonight. We talk about the experience of the Kansas Jayhawks. Duke experienced in their own right as well when we talk about the impact players that we've seen as of late in Maliq Brown and Sion James, Mason Gillis, Tyrese Proctor, Caleb Foster, the guys that have been on these big stages with the bright lights. Now the freshmen have had a couple of opportunities in that as well. They've stood tall. I think they're ready for a challenge like this, and inexperience isn't really something that you have to worry about now.
Yeah, no. I am curious, though, JJ, if Duke goes a little bit deeper on the bench. Mason Gillis, Duke played 8 guys against Arizona. Mason Gillis, I think, played 7 minutes.
Yeah.
Does he get more than 7? Like, is he going to play double-digit minutes, 10+? If he's not, is that now going to go to Isaiah Evans a little bit? Will we see him with 4 or 5 minutes?
And he really didn't do anything, Jordan. I mean, in those 7 minutes, he takes 1 shot.
Yeah.
In so many ways, it was kind of strange just having him out there on the floor. And my question is, how do you get him more involved? Because I think there's still an opportunity for Gillis to be a contributor for this Duke team. But yeah, those were like 7 minutes of cardio in so many ways, man.
Yeah, I think Mason Gillis is more standing in the corner guy on offense. Then if it get dribble penetration kick, he'll shoot the open corner three. I think the one shot he shot was actually partially blocked, so it didn't even go to the goal. But what he's there for on the floor is defense. I mean, he's a guy that can guard wings, guard post, and so it makes sense why he gets in the game, and it makes sense why he was 0 for 1 from the field. He's never going to shoot probably more than 3 shots. We just talked about Maliq Brown. I think Mason Gillis is kind of in the same realm. But with that being said, does Duke go to the bench now looking for offense? Like, we know what Slim can do. Slim had, 14 points in 12 minutes against Wofford. And then Darren Harris, he's a really good shooter. Like, do we see that? And also, Big Pat, like, does Duke just throw a bunch of weird matchups against Hunter Dickinson to try and get him off rhythm? They go, obviously, Common will start. Did the Malik Brown, we go small? Then, hey, you know what? Let's throw Big Pat. Just give him different looks. It's kind of like a QB with different defensive schemes. Do you blitz here? You drop something back? Like, what are you going to do with Hunter Dickinson? So maybe Duke goes a little bit deeper in the bench.
I know that they're going to be ready for this. What we've seen from Jay Lucas, the associate head coach, who is labeled as Duke's defensive coordinator. They've had a remarkable game plan. If you're watching us on YouTube, you've got the stats breakdown between the two teams in this matchup coming up here today. I look at this, and the biggest difference, obviously, is the points given up, with Duke allowing 11 fewer points than the Kansas Jayhawks do. Kansas coming in at 67.6 points per game given up, and Duke at 57.4. I think that's one of the biggest factors here. They're pretty even in rebounds per game. Duke with 44 boards per game, Kansas with 38. But I think if Duke's defense can set the tone, that's going to put them in a really big spot in this one.
Yeah, I agree. And honestly, I think what sets Duke up really well, too, is going small ball. Kansas's win against North Carolina, they won 92-89. Hunter Dickinson had a double-double. Looks really good on paper, but his plus-minus was 0. Like, that was, I think, the second worst in the starting lineup because he can't really guard quicker post players. And then with you opening up the floor to where Hunter Dickinson has to step outside, then all of a sudden you're exposing the paint and you can attack the rim, which UNC did. And that's why UNC came back from a double-digit deficit at half. Dickinson I think Dickinson was in foul trouble the first half, if my memory serves correctly. That's how, honestly, it benefited Kansas opening up the floor against a smaller UNC. Then second half happens. Dickinson's now kind of clogging up areas, and UNC made the run and lost by 3, 92-89. So, with Duke being so tall that we've talked about all year, they're also really can get small when they go small ball with Maliq Brown at the 5.
Yeah, so many different ways to play it. Like you said, I think maybe this is something where in-game adjustments will be pivotal to see kind of how the game is flowing and that sort of thing. And I think Duke's got the advantage in that regard because they have guards that can contribute and make plays. Cooper Flagg's going to be in there regardless for this Duke team. But beyond Hunter Dickinson, Kansas has Flory Badunga, who Duke was very heavily in on the recruiting process, as Duke fans well remember, but not much depth kind of beyond that in those big interior players. You look up and down their roster, KJ Adams certainly will make an impact at that forward spot. But I see a lot of guards and wings on this Kansas Jayhawks roster, and Duke might have a perfect opportunity to take advantage of being the tallest team in America.
Yeah, tall, and they have a good experience. They have good mesh of experience and freshmen. Like, we see Cooper Flagg in the 2 biggest games for Duke. He's not scared of the moment, right? Like, the guy just hoops. And I was very impressed with him at Arizona. He started 3 for 11. I think he finished 10 of 22. Like, that guy doesn't care. And then Concanipple, he had a first half he probably wanted to forget, and then early second half. But you know what? That dude hit 2 big shots for Duke and was one of the reasons why Duke won. Caleb Foster struggled in the first half and then played really pretty damn solid for Duke in the second half. He had a big 3 early in the second half. Duke was up 5 and hit the first 3 of the game for him to put him up 8. Like, he did well. So, like, these Duke guys, why I love them, and I kind of said it on the Crazy Cast this after the Duke and Arizona game, was next play. Like, coaches and fans always want to do next play mentality. This Duke team has it. I just said Cooper Flag was 3 of 11, finished 10 of 22. Knippel struggled, hit 2 big shots. Foster struggled, hit a big shot. Like, these guys don't care about making mistakes. They'll go make it up, and they proved it against Arizona.
And that was big. That was a difference in some ways to the Kentucky game that we saw, because Arizona would go on some runs, but it was always answered, and the runs really were not that long in length. When Arizona would make a shot, Duke immediately responds, and then the defense would kick in once again on that next possession. You're right. I think that's so huge and kind of how this one plays out. I want to talk about another experienced guy for Duke. Got to make sure we give him some praise. How about the role of Sion James so far this year? Really bummed that he couldn't play a bigger factor in that Kentucky game when he goes out with the injury, but just his ability to come in, change some pace. There's a lot of people online wondering whether or not he should slide into that starting lineup at this point. I don't want to go there. I think I love the role of him kind of coming in and being that experienced guy that can settle a team down if the young talented players get off to a shakier start.
Yeah, I like him coming off the bench right now with you, JJ. I mean, look, it doesn't matter who starts the game. It matters who finishes the game. Sion James is going to play in crunch time minutes, and he's been phenomenal. He is this team's Justice Winslow for me. I'm not saying they're the same player or anything, but when he plays with the effort he brings, I always have a smile on my face watching him play, because the guy plays hard and he finishes around the rim. He's flying around defensively, and he just always makes me smile. Like, it's like a proud father watching like their son. Like, the way he just plays brings a smile on my face, because you can tell he loves ball, and so he plays hard, and he's been a joy to watch as a Duke fan.
I'm excited to see him continue to grow in his role throughout the course of the year. He's playing above the rim, which is so exciting. 2 dunks in this game, and both of them came off Maliq Brown assists. So there's kind of the veteran connection that's taking place there. And then when you're talking about possibly making a starting lineup change, I think there's plenty of reason to still have faith in Caleb Foster being more of a factor offensively. And when you look at the Arizona game, the guy was 2 for 6. Like, that's not terrible. You want that to obviously be better, but I feel like at times there's been talk about it being way worse than it actually is.
Yeah, he's definitely a streaky scorer, but Duke doesn't need him to score. Like, I thought, again, against Kentucky, he had the best plus-minus in the first half for Duke. He was plus 13. Second half happens, he's minus 11 in the second half. And so if you combine the first half against Kentucky, where it's plus 13, and the second half against Arizona, it's a hell of a play. That's a hell of a game for a guy. He just has to put it all together. And again, like, yes, he's coming back for Duke, but like, we have to kind of pull ourselves back as Duke fans. Like, he was inconsistent, and he played as a freshman his freshman year. Against Arizona last year, he had 0 points, 0 rebounds, 0 assists, 0 steals in like 13, 14 minutes. And he didn't shoot the ball. This year, like you just said, he was 2 for 6, and he asserted himself more in a hostile environment. How many times last year as a Duke guard for him did he have 0 points or 1 point, and then he had 10 or 11? Like, he was inconsistent, but he was a freshman. Now he's a sophomore with a bigger role. He's going to still have bumps in the road, but that's why Duke went and got a Sion James for when a Caleb Foster struggles. Hey, come in and plug us some minutes, and then Caleb can go back out there and find some rhythm. And so far, he has done that. And so, with that being said, yeah, keep Caleb Foster at starting for right now. It's November, and Duke is now facing Kansas.
I can't wait to see this unfold tonight. Duke and Kansas. I'm feeling good. Jordan, it feels like you're feeling pretty good. The odds in Las Vegas make it feel like Duke's in a good spot. We just saw some percentages with Duke's chances. Still got to go out there and take care of this one. And if it does not go in Duke's direction, the sky's not falling. This Duke team is still clearly one of the best teams in the entire country. So let's watch this one unfold and see what it looks like for the Duke team. We've also got a football game coming up this weekend, the last one of the year, and we've got some thoughts on the most recent Virginia Tech win for the Duke Blue Devils. We'll have that conversation when we come back here in just a moment. Locked On Blue Devils brought to you by our friends over at GameTime. GameTime's got a new feature called GameTime Picks that makes getting tickets to see your favorite teams play live even easier. GameTime Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. What I love about Game Time picks is they're all in pricing where you could see the total up front. There's no surprise fees once you get to checkout. That's really a bummer when people do that to you, but Game Time is not one of those. I love the seat views as well, where you can get a panoramic view from your seat in the app before you buy. It's the lowest price guarantee, or Game Time is going to credit you 110% of the difference. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game Time, a proud sponsor of Locked On Blue Devils. So we saw a really massive win for Duke over Virginia Tech this weekend. It's their 8th win of the season. They get to close out the regular season on the road at Wake Forest this upcoming weekend. It's a winning season. Duke will be playing in a bowl game for just the 3rd time. They've got a chance to get 9 wins in a regular season, which is just insane to sit here and kind of think about. And I couldn't be more fired up about what we saw. Senior day at Wallace Wade Stadium this past weekend. It felt like, Jordan, you gave Eli Pankow a pep talk or something before his last game, finding the end zone 3 different times. That was just awesome to watch.
Dude, yeah, Pankow's been phenomenal this year. You want to talk about just a underdog story or comeback story? Like, it looked like his career might have been over after having a very tough injury last preseason. Missed what was supposed to be a senior year last year with a tough leg injury. And he comes back and is having a career year, leads Duke in receptions and touchdowns. He has 9 touchdowns this season, had 3 against Virginia Tech. And boy, did he start off the first play of the game with a bang.
No kidding. I mean, finding the end zone, 70-plus, 80-plus yard touchdowns, and then he's got another nice catch to pick up his 3rd one there. Yeah, he's able to find the end zone so often, a couple away, or just one away from tying the single-season record. So hopefully he's able to get that against Wake Forest coming up this weekend. It's obviously a spot where you've got 1 game left in the regular season and then the bowl game, and you really want to focus on the now and what this team has right now. But I will say, looking towards the future, I didn't know that I'd be here in year 1, Jordan, but I am way more optimistic than I was at the start of the year, right? Because you just always worry, man, what is it truly going to look like when there is a coaching change and you've got a new guy coming in? And that sort of thing. But I don't know how you couldn't be optimistic about what Manny Diaz is doing in Durham.
Yeah, look, Duke is 8-3. They have had some crazy games and winning and losing games. They have just been I tweeted about it during the game, and I still stand on it now that we're 11 games in. I don't know what to make of this Duke team. They've won 8 games, lost 3, but I tweeted out this week, I have it right here, JJ, that Duke has been down double digits in 4 games this year, and they've come back in all 4 games and have taken the lead in those games. They're 1-3 in those games, being down double digits. And then Duke has also blown 4 double-digit leads this season. 17-0 against UConn, 28-17 against Miami, 12-0 against NC State, and 14-0 against Virginia Tech. They started early, and they're 3-1 in those games. So, like, this Duke team, when they look down and out, that's when you bet them. When they're up big, that's when you bet the other team to come back and cover. They make no sense, but they're 8-3, and that's kind of the perfect summary of the ACC this year as a whole, JJ. Like, Virginia Tech's been down. Virginia Tech and NC State have been the biggest letdown in the ACC. They're supposed to be dark horse AC championship contenders. They are struggling to get a bowl game. Like, Virginia Tech has to beat UVA to go 6-6, but then you have SMU, right? Duke's won one of their 3 losses. Duke should have won. SMU won. They're 11-1, 10-1 this season. So in year 1 of the ACC, so it's just been a wild ride, man, for Duke and the ACC.
No doubt, and I'm excited to see kind of how the bowl games play out for everybody, what the college football playoff world looks like when it's all said and done. But I think with what Duke's got so far this season, a signing day is coming up next Wednesday. That's going to be a big one to monitor there with Manny Diaz and what his staff is doing. But man, I'm really excited about the future of this Duke football program. And you know, you talk about your football team and it starts at that quarterback position. Maalik Murphy just finds ways to win, and he's getting better week by week.
He is. Duke's offense is boom or doom. It is just, there'll be 3 plays that honestly changed the game for Duke, and 3 plays against Virginia Tech, 2 long deep passes to Pankow to make it 14-0. And then the huge third down conversion, I think it was, for Jordan Moore, the defender just fell off the line, off the snap, falls down, and Duke just goes 40-some yards and gets a 1st and goal. And it's just those plays separate Duke from winning and losing. And the NC State game was a 45-yard touchdown pass to Jordan Moore, and then it seemed like the offense sputtered. So it's been a crazy ride, man. Like, the Duke's defense has been phenomenal for the most part this season, but 8-3 is 8-3, and as a Duke fan, we'll take them. And the one thing that I will give pushback on for people that are saying, well, Duke hasn't played anybody, that's not Duke's problem, because this whole preseason leading up, it was like, wow, Duke's stretch of it's going to be out of context or in the order here, JJ, but it was like Miami, SMU, NC State, Virginia Tech. Like, that's a grinding 4 games right there.
No kidding.
Sorry that those 2 teams are big letdowns, but it was supposed to be a hard, tough schedule. That going to NC State was supposed to be a loss. Yeah. It's not Duke while they underachieved.
Yeah, and in so many years past, Duke would find ways to lose the game. They won. Right. They are kind of a back and forth team, but if you've got wins at the end of the day, we'll take them no matter how they come.
I'm not going to apologize for winning, especially as a Duke fan. Like I said, the first time I ever watched Duke win in person, I was 15 or 16 years old watching Duke beat JMU, a bad JMU team, 31-3. So I'm not going to apologize for being 8-3.
Yeah, no, we love it. We'll take it. Hopefully this Duke team can go 9-3 with a win coming up over Wake Forest this weekend. Jordan, always appreciate the time as always. You've got the Big J and Little J show and so many other things going on in your world. There's a big basketball game a little bit later tonight between Duke and Kansas. How can people best support you?
Yeah, follow me at the hashtags at the username J-Man's Takes and the Big J Little J show. Follow me on YouTube or subscribe to my YouTube channel, J-Man_. I'll have a film breakdown up of Duke and Duke at Arizona. And JJ, I wish I could form better sentences this whole episode, but it's just been one of those days. This is a Monday for me, so I appreciate you always having me on, brother, and I can't wait to see you next time.
Absolutely. It's going to be great. We'll do this again soon, Jordan. See you, man.
See you, buddy.
All right, that's Jordan Mann joining us here on today's episode of Locked On Blue Devils, and we're fired up, as you could tell, for tonight's game between Duke and Kansas. Let's go get this thing won, and we'll have a full recap coming for you tomorrow. As always, go Duke. I'll talk to you tomorrow. My name is JJ Jackson. Thank you and good day.